All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. How is everybody doing out there? Sorry, apologize for being a little late, but some things happen. But I just figured I would get on here, open it up to the SEC fans tonight. Nothing too crazy going on this Monday evening. I know that a lot of people have stuff going on Mondays, but so yeah, there's that. Um little college hoops action, getting ready for Monday Night Football. There is that. So all of that stuff going on. Also, if you want to call, the phone number to call 260-255-4069 is the number to call. Um Teamwork makes the dream work. But we have a uh huge matchup this weekend. Uh Georgia taking on Texas. Getting this all set up. Sorry about that. Trying to get everything set up here. Got some other stuff, but yeah, there's that. Being how we have all the stuff going on out there. Also, Brian Dable removed as Giants head coach. Also find that interesting. I'm sure the Ole Miss fans, that is just music to their ears. Going into the weekend, if you didn't already have enough to worry about with the Florida stuff, now you enter the New York Giants have entered the fray. It'll be easy for people to link Kiffin to New York because of the Jackson Dart stuff. Just a lot of things there. I find it interesting on how this whole thing, the Kiffin saga, are the Kiffin saga. It is very fascinating to me. Also, the phone lines are open. Number to call 260-255-4069 is the number to call. Yeah, there's a lot of jockeying going on, a lot of political theater also with the playoff committee. I find that very fascinating as well. The Big Ten people want to argue and they want to fight and argue about all kinds of stuff. I think it's pointless because there's really no measuring stick, in my opinion. You could argue and say, watch the film as the team as a collective whole, but also I have eyeballs and I see the NFL draft as well. Very interesting. Greg Sankey says he talked to one committee member and said that there could be up to at least this is what Sankey said on the playoff committee selection. I think there's a realistic scenario where the SEC is an 8-bid conference. I've had many conversations with individual selective committee members, and we have discussed how Missouri, Vanderbilt, Tennessee simply deserve to be in the playoff. It's no brainer that the SEC has carved out at least 6 to 8 spots in the playoffs. Oh boy, that That is I don't think people understand. That's a dig towards Tony Batiti. Just very interesting. I just don't get it. Some folks don't realize what it is. Greg Sankey does not work for the Big Ten. I don't know when people aren't not going to realize that, but also phone lines open. Number to call 260-255-4069. We'll be here for about an hour, going over some scores and stuff. Yeah, so just looking at that, I find it fascinating. Also, a lot of SEC hoops going on tonight as well. But Texas A&M topples Missouri 38-17. Marcel Reed 221 yards passing. Jamal Roberts 110 on the ground. I mean, A&M, from what I've seen of A&M and that whole thing, it is fascinating that a lot of people before the season were always down on Texas A&M. Texas A&M this, Texas A&M that, blah 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 blah. Hold on, give me 1 second. I will be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry, I had to get something squared away. All right, we'll get this figured out. But yeah, so also phone line is open. Number to call 260-255-4069 is the number to call. But yeah, it was pretty much a pretty good performance out of Texas A&M. I think it's everything that I needed to see as far as justification for where they were at. Then the next one, Alabama. I find the Alabama LSU a little bit more fascinating than most. I think that it was one of those deals that it was really stacked against them. Also, the benching of Nussmeier and then also being non-committal after the game is also fascinating. I think that at some point you're going to have to LSU is going to have to completely tear down and rebuild post Kelly era. That's also getting very interesting. That's turning into a legal battle with the governor, the governor, Woodward, everybody involved in that LSU thing. So I think that for the most part, if you're LSU, I don't know if you've muddied the waters on getting a coach, but I think going forward, it's going to be very hard. They take the loss to Alabama. Alabama ends up 20-9. Ty Simpson 277. Kind of business as usual. LSU doesn't score a touchdown. Alabama is able to keep them out of the end zone. I thought it was an electric atmosphere at Bryant-Denny from what I've seen on TV. And then Georgia goes on the road, beats Mississippi State. I'm not really shocked by that. I can't imagine too many people would be shocked that where Georgia's at right now. Me personally, I'm not. I think that their offense is getting better week by week. So we'll see where they shake out. But I think the real test is going to be next week. What does that offense do against Texas? That's the big thing. Also, what's your favorite NFL team? The Steelers. But also going up against it is Ole Miss and the Citadel. I don't really harbor any ill will towards the Citadel. I mean, Ole Miss beats them 49-0. Nothing much you can really do with that. It's hard to gauge what the Citadel really is. I'm not shocked by that going forward. Auburn kind of shocked me. I didn't know if they would go out and quit with DJ Durkin being in charge. I thought Auburn played really, really hard. They just didn't have it at the end. I think that that's something to sum up the entire season at Auburn. Kind of really the whole Hugh Freeze tenure there. And I'm not really trying to bag on Hugh. He just didn't get it done down the stretch at Auburn when he needed to. When he had some things rolling, it just seemed like every time that they would get rolling, they'd take 2 steps back. That's just what it was at Auburn. That's the problem. I don't think that one of the other issues is that a lot of people have won outside of Auburn. And it seems like they just get there and they just don't win for whatever reason, whether it was Hugh Freeze with the quarterback situation. He went 10 toes in on Peyton Thorne. I mean, it is what it is at that point. I mean, he's fired. It's over. So there's that. Do I think Hugh Freeze rebounds? I think he probably ends up somewhere in the Sun Belt. I don't think he will turn around to be a coordinator by any stretch of the imagination. That's just my opinion. But I think he'll get another head job somewhere. Could he end up back at Liberty if Jamie Chadwell takes another job, like maybe in the Sun Belt? I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, if I'm Mark State, do you look at reframing it, rerunning it back with Hugh? I guess I don't know. I think he's got one more good shot at the SEC, and then that's it. I did post a TikTok where me and Richie talked about the coaching situations about James Franklin. He's being a lot of smoke around him with Arkansas. And then I had a bunch of Arkansas people comment on the post and say, we don't want James Franklin. Well, I hate to break it to you when it comes down to it, when push comes to shove, the Arkansas thing with James Franklin, whether you got the money to hire him, I think you'll probably be able to get him on a little bit of a discount. But can he win there? I mean, James has been in the SEC before. He won at Vanderbilt. So I think that that's something to be said there. I think that there's a lot of people that are probably tired of talking about the coaching stuff, but you have 3 majors open, kind of majors. You have LSU, but I mean, what does LSU look like going forward? I mean, you're going to be getting criticized by the governor. So there's that. And you have the Brian Kelly lawsuit looming over your head. I don't know. Where does the bottom shake out of that? Because how much money and resources are you going to be committing to Brian Kelly going forward? That's just one element there. How much money are you going to have in the staff pool if you're the new coach? What's your budget for NIL? There's a lot of things that roll into the LSU job. And I mean, I've heard, Neil McCready talk about it at length. He's from Louisiana, and he'd been on covering college football for, the better part of 25 years. And he comes out and says that, hey, LSU is great when it's going good, but when it's not, it's hell on earth. Well, that's the problem. There is no middle ground with LSU, because I had a conversation with a college football coach, a former college football coach, and I asked him, I said, if what Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss, could he get away with doing that at LSU? And the answer I got back was no. And I think it's very telling. LSU put the Batman signal up at that press conference that was really awkward, that they had the guys from the board of supervisors staring at each other whenever it was whose turn is it to talk. I'm going to go out on a limb and just say this. Behind the scenes, I think at LSU, with the way things are going, I think it might be a train wreck. I think LSU behind the scenes, considering that they were staring at each other, looking down the table on who was supposed to answer that question, and they were reading off of papers, sends off alarm bells to me. Because typically, if you have a big public mess of a situation like you have right now, it should have been one voice, not 3 people up there staring at each other about who was answering what. It looked like it was orchestrated, like somebody else was pulling the strings on it. Regardless of whatever it is, you've got to have a united front. That's just my opinion. You have to have a united front. You can't have guys staring at each other about who's going to answer the question. You had an interim AD, and then he wasn't the interim. Now he's the AD. Like, what the hell is going on? I mean, I find it very bizarre. I mean, it can't be any worse than what happened at Arkansas with the Sam Pittman stuff. I mean, Arkansas, I guarantee you this much, Arkansas is like, hey, way to go, LSU, taking the fire right off of us. I mean, it ain't going to save you on the fan base, but the reason why I say that is because Arkansas, their AD, Hunter Yurachek, I believe that's his name, comes out and says, I don't think we gave Sam Pittman the resources to win. He said that. That's the problem. He said that. So that's an issue. That's a major issue. I don't care what anybody says. That's a major issue. So there is that. I don't know. I don't know where the bottom falls out, but also the phone lines are open. Number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call. We'll be with you for about an hour or however long you guys want to call. That is the line. The phone line is open. So there is that. Also, if you call me restricted, I am not going to answer. So we'll see. Also, we'll get to the bell of the ball. You can't tell the Florida fans anything. They have it dead set that they are the best job open right now and you can't tell them anything, and they're getting Lane Kiffin, and it's lock, stock, and barrel, and it's over. Well, a little revisionist history, Florida. Outside of Steve Spurrier, everybody that's came before him in the last 50 years has been fired. Don't you think that's probably an issue? I'm just saying, you fired everybody. So I think that is a problem. I don't know what they do. I don't know what Penn State does, because Penn State was Pitt with the upset bucket. Ooh, I was at the LSU game. Roll Tide. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, LSU, for all intents and purposes, seems like a dumpster fire, hot garbage water. But gets to the last point. Florida. Notre Dame struggled against BC. Pitt will beat them 48-7. Yeah, I don't know about that. Do you trust Narduzzi to win you a game, a big game? That's the question. Do you trust him? Florida goes on the road to Kentucky this past week and gets absolutely dominated. They had like 18 to 20 guys on the availability report. DJ Lagway, 11 of 19, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. He ends up getting benched. I find that interesting in itself. Narduzzi has multiple top 3 wins on his resume, multiple top 10. Why do Bama have such a poor run game? I think that Alabama's struggle to run the football is that I think they got to get bigger up front. Outside of Proctor, is there any other NFL draft picks on that offensive line? Maybe one. But there's that. But also I think that it's kind of one of those things at when they were at Washington with Ryan Grubb, when DeBoer was there, I don't think that they ran the ball really great either. I mean, they just aired that thing out with Penix. So realistically, right now, Florida 7 of 15 on third down. Oh yeah, speaking of that, I want to go look at the Garrett Nussmeier numbers as well. Not trying to dump on him, but he did get benched, and they were non-committal at the press conference about him being the starting quarterback going forward. I find that interesting. Nussmeier 18 to 21 for 121 yards. We'll see. But we'll look at LSU, what they have left. I would say the availability report is going to be chucked full. They have Arkansas at 12:45. I bet Death Valley looks empty. I don't think anybody would show up to that. Maybe, I don't know. That stadium is huge. And then they have Western Kentucky at night on SEC Network. Don't, and then they end it with Oklahoma. Arkansas. If Arkansas is going to get a win in the conference, it's got to be there. It has to be there at LSU. I find it fascinating that. Who do I like tonight? I lean Green Bay. Also, the phone line is open. Number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call. So there is that. So, yeah, LSU's got Arkansas, Western Kentucky, Oklahoma left. Not a gauntlet, but I don't think Oklahoma's going to go out like any punks. Here we go again. UGA not possibly in the SEC championship. Yeah, that's a distinct possibility, even if they went out, because if you look at what A&M has left, they got South Carolina, Samford, and Texas is what A&M has left. Still loving DeBoer. Oh, I think he's doing a good job for what he's dealt with. A field goal, you're out. Oh. But I do have all kinds of team gear though, which will really drive people up the wall. I have all kinds of team gear, so there's that. That'll probably bother some people, but I'm a Husky fan, so I still like him. UGA making the ACC championship. I think they got a shot, but the ACC's got to get it to shake out. There's too many one-loss teams. I think their conference is too big for it to sort itself out, but it might, so it doesn't have to go down to tiebreakers. Yeah, Washington took a bad loss against Wisconsin this weekend. That's tough. I appreciate the follow, Paulie, for sure. So there's that. Also, phone line is open. Number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call. But Alabama has Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and Auburn left. So I think we're heading down the road of where it could most likely end up being a Alabama A&M SEC championship game. I think that's the collision course we're on there. Also, I think in the Big Ten, the collision course you're heading on is Indiana versus Ohio State. I think those are probably the top 4 teams in the nation. I know the Notre Dame folks would like to have a say in that, but I also do think it's funnier in hell that the playoff committee has ranked Notre Dame ahead of Miami. Also, for the Ole Miss folks out there, it's kind of telling on what Ferris State's program is. I believe they won the national championship last year. Texas and UGA. Let's go Dogs. But Ferris State is also 10-0 right now. I don't know if people realize that. Ferris State 10-0 without Trinidad Chambliss. Let's just look at the All-State playoff predictor. That's going to see where they're at the Big Ten championship. I'm totally pissed at college football. Paulie, for sure, why are you upset at college football? Oh, that's just the playoff predictor. ESPN has this playoff predictor that I like to mess with. I find it very interesting because we'll do it. We will choose Texas, and then it says your thoughts on choose the winner of these matchups. We will go Georgia, Texas. So here's the way this works. If they drop, they either have to beat Georgia or A&M, because if they can beat A&M, they have a path to getting in. But with losses to Georgia and A&M, all but eliminates them from the playoffs. I don't think that's the realm of possibility. Who else do they have here? Vandy. Let's do Vandy. SEC is one step below the NFL. Roll Tide. I appreciate you there, Michael. Also, the phone line is open. Number to call, 260-255-4069. If Vandy beats Kentucky, we can beat Carolina. And Vandy loses to Tennessee. Not good. Vandy has to win out to make the playoff. I'll be interested to see what Miami is on this. If you select Miami, let's say Miami wins out. Although they have to beat Pitt. Let's say they don't make the conference championship. They got a 14% chance. What are you going to do? Ohio State's best win is Texas. Who else have they played? We'll roll down the Buckeye schedule. So they beat Texas, right? They kill Grambling, kill Ohio, beat Washington, beat the doors off of Minnesota. They beat Illinois, beat Wisconsin, beat Penn State, and that beaten Purdue. The only team that they're going to see with the pulse outside of Texas is Michigan. So that's kind of where I'm at. I kind of hate to be that guy, but I almost feel like you need to see more from Ohio State. A little bit. UGA three-peat year gets us the boot with 11-1 record now. Indiana, Texas's A&M only test. Yeah, before the SEC championship game, because if they went out, that's kind of what it is. So there is that. Also, what else do we have here? I just feel like the top four seeds are Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, and Alabama. Although Alabama's kind of wart on their face that they need to kind of rewrite is the Florida State game, because that looks like a bad loss, the Florida State game. Ohio State plays Indiana in the conference championship. I will agree to that. I believe that is a fair assessment. And then they got the first round on campus. Oregon at Texas Tech, Memphis at Georgia. That'll be a slaughter. UVA at Ole Miss. I believe that would be a slaughter. No U of M versus Indiana. I don't know. I think we'll find out a little bit more about how Michigan has progressed whenever they play Ohio State. Has Bama 6th or 5th ranked team to win? Who has more? Oh, ranked wins. We're going to win out, bro. Well, good luck. I mean, you got to beat Ohio State. That's the big thing. Although I will have to say Sherrone Moore is pretty good at that. Even if let's just say this, even if Michigan doesn't make the playoff and you still beat Ohio State, still a pretty good year. It would be UVA versus Ole Miss. I believe that would be a slaughter. And then Notre Dame would have to go to BYU. Very interesting. Who does Michigan have left? Because the problem is that I think Michigan's initial ranking is too low. That's my only thing with Michigan is their initial ranking is too low. They're sitting at 18 at 7-2. To make the case for Michigan to get into the playoff, they have that bad loss against USC. They lost on the road at Oklahoma, but they have Northwestern should dog walk them. Maryland will most likely beat them. And then when it gets down to Ohio State, it'll be USC was ranked at the time. I don't think that. Yeah, but here's the thing. Texas was also at a period of time unranked too. And Ohio State technically at the time had the best win. But you have to remember they went on the road to LA. So, I mean, what you are ranked at the beginning of the year opposed to the end of the year is a totally different endeavor, in my opinion. So basically, the Ohio State-Michigan game will be Michigan playing for their playoff lives on that Saturday if they win out. I'm about to follow you, talk some sense. I'm just saying that's just kind of what it is, man. It's all it really comes down to, because the 7-2 Michigan with a win over number 1 Ohio State, that's a win. That, I mean, they're in the playoff. Not going to probably play for the Big Ten, but that's that. Appreciate the follow, my guy. You should come follow the podcast. The link is in our bio. Last team Bama wants to face is UGA 100%. Well, we'll see. How weak of a schedule is the 8th place FCS team before your rivalry game? See, this is where I get people. Just because I have an Alabama shirt on doesn't mean that I'm a fan. Do you understand? People can send you stuff. Works out pretty good, but I like the team gear. Who is your squad, bro? Anymore, I really don't have one because I know some people in coaching. So I kind of root for the people that I have. You rocking that Crimson Tide red though? Yeah, I got about, when it comes to team gear, I got about 40 different hats of various teams throughout college football. So I got an Alabama shirt, I got a Clemson shirt, I got some Auburn gear, got some Auburn hats, got NASCAR stuff. I just like the BF Goodrich. This hat is elite. And I got Ohio State hats. I live in the Midwest, but I really like SEC football. I feel it, and personal ties makes the exception. You need an Ohio State jersey. Bama, Oklahoma take respectively. I think if Bama can run the football a little bit against Oklahoma, it'll open up their passing game. I don't know if Oklahoma is going to be good enough to cover Alabama on the back end. Also, we got PSU, I'm assuming Penn State, BTA to Michigan State. We'll see. I think the big thing with Penn State going forward is what does your injury report look like? I mean, we've seen the results of that. Florida, Kentucky's a prime example. Florida's hands down a more talented team than Kentucky, but they had 18 kids sit out. Thoughts on A&M Bama SEC championship game? I think it would be a banger of a game. The only thing that would kind of cause for concern on the A&M side is I think that A&M would be susceptible to the pass. I think Alabama would have a hard time maybe running the ball because everybody forgets in, what was that, week 2 or 3, CJ Carr, a first-year starter against A&M, he kind of carved him up a bit. So there is that. I just look at that. A&M QB got wheels. Yeah, Marcel Reed's hell on wheels, to be honest. I think if they end up going undefeated and winning out, I think he's the Heisman Trophy winner. What do we have? We have some ESPN breaking news. Baseball stuff. Some catcher won Rookie of the Year, the first one through first one since Buster Posey to win it in 2010. Our pass rush this week early in the season, but yes, our DBs are very weak. I'm assuming Hutch 5217, you are a A&M fan, which I kudos to the A&M fan base. Shout out to them for pushing back against Mark Stoops in them hiring Mike Elko. That has been a whale of a hire. It's been wildly successful. And to be honest, a lot of people hate Texas A&M and they hate on them because they have all kinds of money and they haven't been able to figure it out. Well, all the people before the season were saying A&M wasn't going to be able to repeat what they did last year. I think it's hilarious. Been a lifelong fan. I've rode the roller coaster my whole life. Yeah. And I think a win over Texas in an undefeated season puts a stamp on it. And then you got to get ready for the playoffs. Elko was the coach we needed. He brought the grit back. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that Texas A&M has gotten is they are a gritty football team. They have kind of grinded out wins. I know some criticisms of the fan base have been interesting, but I think people complain a lot. So there's that. Who is the Big Ten champion? I would say Ohio State is the Big Ten champion, possibly. Probably should be number one in the country right now. Yeah. They got a road. Texas A&M has a road win at Notre Dame Stadium. And it's funny to me that some people won't make the case for A&M to be number one when they have the best win. And then also Lane Kiffin was asked today at his press conference, and he brought the whole strength of schedule thing up. He said, if A&M isn't number one, then what's the point of scheduling games if it's not going to be rewarded? That's my whole point. That's the way I look at it. If you're not going to reward the teams for going out there as scheduling, just play directional schools in your non-cons. Just do it. They should be too, because Indiana should have lost to Penn State. Well, here's the issue with that. They didn't. So kind of hard to get through that. That's the problem. They didn't. So coulda, woulda, shoulda on that end of it. I also look at it as it's one of those things that it is what it is. But A&M's taking on South Carolina. I think South Carolina is going to be a corpse by the time that is done. Also, tickets going for as low as $246. Here's the funny thing on how far LSU has fallen off the bandwagon here. LSU playing at 12:45 or 11:45, depending on where you live, whether it's Central or Eastern. But LSU tickets as low as $9. They have the cheapest tickets this week in the SEC. LSU does. If that doesn't tell you something, that should tell you a lot. LSU cheapest tickets in the SEC, and that's cheaper. The lowest get-in price at Kentucky, Tennessee Tech, which is going to be a win for them, is $11. They got them beat by $2 whole. Penn State fan, I would like to know who Penn State is going to hire. I don't think Matt Rule is coming, but we'll see. I find that interesting. And then Tennessee taking on New Mexico State, $51 get-in price. Florida, Ole Miss, $254 get-in price. And then Georgia, Texas, get-in price is $304. But also, let's not discount Texas A&M in this. Texas A&M is $246 to get in versus South Carolina in Lenora Sellers. How about ND tickets? I would have to go over to the ACC page for that because they're taking on Pitt. Some people think Notre Dame's going to lose to Pitt. $122 at the at Acrisure Stadium. Urban Meyer or Brian Kelly. You know who I think Penn State's going to hire? I think they're either going to hire Brian Hartline from Ohio State, or I think they're going to hire Dan Mullen. I bet they hire Dan Mullen because all that Urban Meyer stuff being up there in Happy Valley. I think he was up there trying to sell him Dan Mullen because that's his buddy. That's what I think is going to happen. Could be wrong. I could be colossally wrong. Who knows what they do? They could go in a different direction, like Alex Golish or something like that. Who knows? It's always fascinating on how some of this stuff shakes out. Thoughts on Georgia-Texas game? I think that Georgia beats Texas. Do they cover the 5.5? That I don't know. I appreciate the follow, my guy. So there's that. I think it's going to be very interesting. Who else do we have on this? Oklahoma, Alabama, I think is going to be a banger of a game as well. You know, Miami is ranked. I watched my LSU team at Alabama. That defense played and held up to 3 points in the second half. I think LSU is legit on defense. I think it's going to just depend on what the availability report says at the end of the week on who's playing and who's sitting out. I think that's the whole shooting match when it comes to LSU. Texas has a second-ranked rush defense. That's what worries me. We'll see. I think Penn State's the best 3-6 team in the country. I guess if that's what you want to hang your hat on, you can. Alabama got no run game. Well, I think LSU's pretty good defensively, but we'll see. I think that could be something that could haunt Alabama at the end of the year. Just something to look at. As I'm pulling this up. As far as points and yards allowed go, Oklahoma is 1. A&M is leading in sacks. Missouri's got the best rushing attack. Where does Alabama rank? Jam Miller got benched in the second half with 13 yards. Is sad. Yes, that is sad. Also, Garrett Nussmeier got benched too, Larry. Miami will sneak into the playoffs. I think Miami needs to concentrate on winning their next game. That's what I think Miami needs to concentrate on. I think that would be very, very wise of Miami to get that under control before anything. I just had that. Where did it go? There we go. Yeah, but Nuss is sorry though. I wouldn't go out there and say that. I think it's a whole scheme issue in Kentucky. Or not Kentucky, at LSU. If Alabama played like they did against us, they will get destroyed by the Aggies. I think that Alabama could have some issues in the throw game because Texas A&M is leading them in sacks. Alabama is ranked 14th in rushing barely. They're averaging 3.5 yards a carry, 111 yards a game. Missouri's the leader of the way behind Arkansas, Texas A&M, Georgia. I think the Georgia Ty Simpson lost the Heisman against LSU game. I don't know if Ty Simpson lost the Heisman against LSU. I think that the Heisman is kind of overrated anymore because of how they do the whole voting process. I mean, obviously Travis Hunter won it the year before, but the whole voting is, I just don't like the way it's done. Also, the phone line is open. Number to call, 260-255-4069. We'll hang out for a little bit longer. Coming up on almost an hour. Ryan Williams is overrated, got shut down. The Heisman is political nowadays. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. The Heisman is political AF. Notre Dame prediction, they should beat Pitt. I had some people in here earlier saying Narduzzi's going to beat them, but I don't think Pitt's going to be able to stop them through the air or on the ground, in my opinion. I think Mike Denbrock's got too many weapons. Do you think Jeremiah Smith can win the Heisman this year? No, because it's a quarterback award. Bernard got butterfingered. His hands were wide open. Yeah, that is true. Also, we are live on YouTube as well. If you hit the link in the bio, you can come on over to YouTube. It's a little bit better than the TikTok format. It's going to be between Mendoza and Reed. Yeah, I think Sayan's got something to say about it. A&M winning it all. Yeah, I could see it. But if history's taught us anything, the teams with the byes did not do well last year. Also, phone line is open. Number to call, 260-255-4069. Saban is pissed at how Bama is playing. Take a couple TD lead in the second half. Should not be 3-1 or 2. Yeah, I agree with that when it comes to the A&M stuff. I think that they should definitely be 1 or 2. Got the best win. Because, see, this was the thing that Ohio State fans can't grasp and Notre Dame fans can't grasp. When you lose a game, whether it is to Texas A&M or Texas, the best thing that would help your case in the playoffs is if those teams win. That's what helps the best case right there. Because Notre Dame keeps winning, that helps A&M. A&M keeps winning, that helps Notre Dame. If Texas could keep winning, that helps Ohio State. I don't think people realize that. Because it helps your strength of schedule as those teams climb in the rankings. I hate to be that guy, but that's what helps. That's what helps your teams in the rankings, by having the teams you beat win, because it ups your strength of schedule. I know that's probably an unpopular opinion, but just saying, Texas's total defense, where do they rank in rushing? Texas gives up the least amount of yards on the ground at 78.7 yards a game. We'll see where that shakes out, but where do they rank? They're averaging 16 points a game is what they're giving up. So, but let's not forget, RTR, Oklahoma been scaring me all year. Don't like this matchup. I think if Alabama can protect, they'll be fine. I'm on the SEC bias train, but still making us a nobody got to stop. Texas Tech smack BYU around. Yeah, that is a fair point. Texas Tech, I think, is the leader in the clubhouse in the Big 12. Also, phone lines open. We'll keep it open probably until 8:30 Eastern, another 15 more minutes. So there's that. Number to call, 260-255-4069. The Iowa State people are, I'm watching Iowa State, Mississippi State basketball. But, you know, the big thing is that the Big Ten folks get to pump the chest and keep it outright because they've won the last 2 natties, and they have. But if we look at the last 25 years, the SEC's got 14 and a half natties. So, I mean, not that, you know, the previous 25 years counts or anything like that, but what are you going to do? But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this Texas-Georgia game. I think it's going to be unbelievable. I think down there at Sanford Stadium, they are going to have an electric atmosphere. Also, I think Georgia should not tell anybody and come out in the red and then come out in the black unis. I guess this just coming out. Florida sticking with struggling DJ Lagway versus Ole Miss. Yikes. We'll see how that bottom falls out, but yeah, there's that. So I think that for the most part, we're kind of hit the zenith here. I'm sure everybody's going to be hopping off to go watch Monday Night Football. That makes it tough in the podcasting world. Also, especially whenever you're trying to do a call-in show. I think we're going to bring the call-in show back for tomorrow night as well. If you can, if you're watching out there on TikTok, hit the link in our bio and come on over to the YouTube page and hit that like and subscribe button. I think that that helps us a ton as well. For you folks out there, we do this Monday through Friday as much as I can. Phone line is open. I'll leave it open for another 10 minutes. Number to call, 260-255-4069. So there is that. So just trying to get this up to an hour podcast. Rose Bowl City file restraining order to keep UCLA from ending lease. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a highly, highly pointed contention out there at the Rose Bowl. Because I would say that's a hell of a drive going across town. I guess SoFi I think's in Inglewood. I would have to talk to somebody who lives out there what kind of a big of a difference that would be. Although I think it's sad. And then you had the controversy of USC's jersey swap, but whatever. That's what it is. I appreciate the follow, my guy. We're getting ready to hop off here, so there is that. What do I think about Virginia? I think they got a shot to make the playoffs. Oklahoma will be a real challenge for Alabama. Yeah, I believe so. So there is that. I guess we'll go ahead and end it here. We'll bring the call-in show back same time tomorrow. 7:05. Also, if you're watching on TikTok, hit that link in the bio and come on over to YouTube. And then you hit the like and subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. And that helps us grow. But TikTok, we're out. All right, YouTube. TikTok is over. I guess we will hit the road here as well. We'll bring this call-in show back. Richie's going to make an appearance 2 times this week as well. So on the days Richie's on, the thumbnail will be different. And we will talk to you guys later.